Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today I wanted to actually continue a topic that I started a little while before, which was just kind of talking about this podcast called The Tonight Show, and you find it on YouTube or whatnot. And I've seen a couple of clips of it before, but I really want to talk about it's not so much like the cast or anything like that. It's just the space that it says that's in. So I'm just going to lay out the format because it seems to be one of the biggest platforms of doing this, at least in a social media space. I'm sure there are a lot of places that people go when it comes to, on stage, talking to big audiences about the dating world and whatever the case is. And that show really specifies on that in the dating world. And it seems like most of the people who show up there or go there as, to kind of listen and get this kind of message or advice from the host of the show. There's multiple hosts. It's like a platform of people on stage. Seems to be a lot of women. And I kind of wanted to kind of just reflect on the state of what it means, because if you ever watched any of that, because they put a lot of shorts, clips of like shorts that post up a lot, and a lot of people are able to kind of see those. You're not seeing the long form videos or whatever the case is, but a lot of the shorts. And you see, and maybe in that case, because of the shorts, maybe they chop it up in that way. I don't know, but it gives the impression that when you look at the background, you see in the audience, there's a bunch of women there. You also get the vibe that those are the only ones asking questions. It's just a bunch of women. When you look at the questions that they ask, you start realizing that a lot of people are in a space of being very wrecked, and people are in a space of, and I mentioned this before one of the other episodes that I did, commenting about someone asking a question from that same podcast, The Tonight Show, about how it's almost like a juvenile state of mindset when it comes to relationships. They'll ask questions like, what do you do if the guy you're with is cheating and you caught him but he doesn't know you caught him? Or what do you do when you don't want to be with your guy anymore but you're talking to someone else? About all these kind of chaotic things that are just crazy and unhealthy and this and that. And what it's reflecting is that so many people, and in this case, because the panels, because the show is really reflecting a bunch of women, it's showing a lot of women who are in a chaotic state. And not to say men aren't either, but that they are or aren't. But here you have this show where everyone's coming there and they're airing out the questions that they have, which are just scary and a little bit ridiculous, that you can be, because a lot of people on there are like in their mid-30s and up, and you're still asking yourself these kind of questions. It shows that you're dealing with the same kind of people all the time. And generally in life, a lot of people don't realize that there's like about 20% of guys that, date multiple women, do whatever they want, kind of are what most women are drawn to, yet are the kind of person that society says you should stay away from. And 80% of the guys out there are the ones who are not. They're actually good guys, and they've been taught that from a young age. Now, if you don't believe me, you look at any friends group of guys, and 9 times out of 10, if there's like 5 guys in the group, one of them is the one who had a whole bunch of options when they're growing up, even as a little kid, when you guys were all friends as young kids, if you're the same friends group as you were when you were young kids. And the rest might have had like a normal amount of options, but nothing compared to that one. Or you might have a group of guys who all of them had a lot of options. They all have the same kind of personality. And then you'll have maybe 5 other groups out there in comparison that they're all the same kind of personality and had no options. Generally speaking, that is the case because you are never going to have where everyone pairs 1-to-1. And everyone kind of knows that. If you enter a social environment, we'll say like just a social nightlife environment, and there's 10 women over here and 10 men over here, they're not going to equally pair up. There's going to be, most likely the standard is all the guys want somebody and to be able to leave that space with somebody, and the women are all going to be looking at the same maybe 2 or 3 guys. And other than that, if one of them might get that person, but if the rest don't, they're all going to be like, well, I'd rather go home alone. We know that that's just a fact of how things work. So with that being said, it's definitely all these people on that kind of show who's asking those questions fall into that space of they're dealing with those kind of guys. And you start realizing how many of them are dealing with those kind of guys. It's all of them, because they're all asking these same questions. And it's crazy. Or sometimes it's the woman who they have someone who actually is decent and they're bored. And so they run to someone who is like that 20%. And I was just kind of reflecting on the fact of how many people you have in that space, in those audience, in those shows that are there, however often that happens, and whether it's once a month, whether it's whatever, asking these questions. Let's say it's once a month, asking all these questions about things that are just so obviously chaotic, and why are you entertaining it? And maybe there's a little bit of leeway, not that it should be like this. People shouldn't be going through that, not even in their young 20s. But even if you gave a little bit of leeway to say, okay, maybe certain people don't know any better in their young 20s, you give them that leeway, not in your late 30s. But it is. And so I feel that show, and I'm not knocking the show, and I find all that kind of stuff very interesting, but it's a reflection of how many people are super lost. And if you ever come across any of those shorts in terms of the clips, and you look at the comments, you'll see the things that people say are like, I can't believe someone asked this question, or what's wrong with them, or that's the problem with society. You'll really start to realize how crazy it is. And a lot of people are asking these questions without even realizing how horrible it sounds that they're even asking these crazy questions, and how it reflects on them society. They're so far gone that they don't even know that what they're asking should be shameful to even ask it, because it's embarrassing. But they don't see that. And like I said, so I'm not knocking the show. I actually think that the show is nice. It's entertaining to watch, to see people with their inputs, because it's always entertaining to kind of see where the minds are of people. And I love the study of psychology. But in general, it really is a reflection of where, where people are at when it comes to their mindset. And this kind of really encompassing a larger portion. Sorry, you guys, just adjusting something really quickly. Okay, there we go. A larger portion of people, that big of a portion of people who are really just in that space, in that mindset, and think like that. And I think it's a lot more than what you just see there. But this is just a sample population to show how many people are in that space. There's a lot. And then when you go into the comments, you see a lot of women who will reflect on that same position. Like, yeah, that's crazy. But agreeing with the woman, not taking a step back to realize, why are you even asking that question in the first place? It's shameful at that age to be asking these kind of questions or being in that space. But that's kind of where we're at right now, where a lot of people are thinking, and I mentioned this before in a previous video a long while back, about how people feel that 30 is the new 20, 40 is the new 30. It's not. And so when you do things that you would have done in your 20s, in your late 30s, it's really shameful. And people don't see it like that, but it really is. And that's why a lot of people are going to probably end up being alone in the next 10 to 15, 20 years. Those who are in their late 30s still trying to figure it out, because we're in an era now where nobody views it, whether it's men or women, views things from the space of adapting, compromising the old school ways of trying to say, like, okay, let me make this work. Let me put in the work and figure it out. Everyone's now on the mindset of just, well, whatever works for me. But what you have when you do that is nobody's going to be for anybody, because everybody's saying, like, I'm going to have to do for me. I have to do what benefits me. But when everyone thinks like that, then no one is a fit for anybody. And you're going to have a lot more situations where a lot more people are single, and it is what it is. But the question is, who's built to handle that coming forward in the next 10, 15, 20 years? And that's a good question for people to kind of ponder and think about. But as always, you guys, put things down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Put any questions or any topics you guys want us to cover, because I would like to cover as many topics that you guys might have of interest. And as always, guys, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.